Our neighbor's teen son got a new drone. We thought it was just a toy. Then I noticed it hovering over our pool. Then over my daughter's window. I talked to his parents. They called it boys being boys. I filed the report. The next day, my car's tires were slashed. Then a note was slid under our door. Keep pushing, and we'll show everyone what she's hiding. That night, my daughter locked herself in the bathroom. She was holding a hard drive, footage. All of it. Weeks worth. And a note. Do not delete. Save me. We moved to Peoria, Arizona last spring. I picked the place for one reason: peace. After my divorce, I needed calm. Somewhere to rebuild, somewhere safe. It was just me and my daughter Allie. She was 16. A little too quiet since everything fell apart. She used to be bubbly, social. After the divorce, she kept to herself more. I blamed myself. So when I found a nice house with a pool and a decent school nearby, I figured I was finally giving her something good again. The street looked perfect. Big trees, friendly smiles, block parties every other month. Our neighbors to the right were the Sampsons, Mike, Denise, and their teenage son, Blake. At first, they came off normal. Maybe a little too friendly. Mike always had that smug, beer-in-hand confidence. Denise talked like everything she said was a favor. Blake was tall, tan, always shirtless. 17. He barely looked anyone in the eye. Always glued to his phone. Walked like he owned every inch of the pavement. The first time Allie met him, she came inside and told me. He gives me the creeps. I should have paid more attention. Blake got a drone for his birthday in May. Not some cheap toy either. This was high-end. Quiet. Sleek. 4K camera. I didn't think much of it the first time I saw it. Just some kid flying it around. But that thing never seemed to leave our yard alone. I'd catch it floating over our pool, just hovering. I'd step outside and it would dart off, like it knew it got caught. It started happening more often. Morning. Late afternoon. Once, while I was watering the plants, I looked up and it was right there. Just watching. I walked straight into the Sampsons' yard, but Blake just laughed and said he was testing the signal range. I told him to keep it out of my property. He said, "Can't help where it flies." A few days later, I caught it right outside Allie's bedroom window. Just there. Hovering. Dead still. It stayed until I threw a rock at it, and it zipped off again. That night, I went over and knocked on their door. Mike answered, wearing a tank top, holding a beer, looking like he had just been waiting for a reason to be smug. "Your son's drone is watching my daughter," I told him. He took a sip and smiled. "It's a drone. It doesn't watch people." I wasn't in the mood for games. "It's been hovering at her window. I want it stopped." Denise showed up behind him, rubbing lotion into her hands like it was a casual evening. "Oh, come on," she said. "Boys will be boys." I stared at them, waiting for one of them to take this seriously. Neither did. I said, "If it happens again, I'll file a report." Mike laughed, like I just told him I was going to call the president. "You do that." So the next morning, I drove straight to the police station. I brought photos I'd taken of the drone. The officer was polite, but said unless I had direct proof of it filming something private, it'd be hard to act on. Still, he wrote up the complaint and said he'd make contact. I should have known that wouldn't be the end. That night, around 11 p.m., I went out to get something from my car. All 4 tires were slashed. Clean. Deep. Not a random act, this was personal. Then I saw the note. Folded and slid under the front door. "Keep pushing, and we'll show everyone what she's hiding." I froze. My stomach dropped. My hands shook as I picked it up. The words were printed in bold Sharpie. No signature. I turned and saw Allie standing at the end of the hallway. She'd read it already. Her face. I can't explain the look. Not just scared. It was like she'd been carrying something too heavy for too long, and it was finally crushing her. That night, she locked herself in the upstairs bathroom. I tried not to panic. I knocked, called her name. No answer. When she finally opened it, she looked like she hadn't slept in weeks. Her eyes were red. Her hands were shaking. She was holding a small black hard drive. "I saved it all," she said. I asked her what she meant. "I downloaded the footage. Everything. From his drone." My mind was racing. He didn't secure the feed. I figured out how to access the Wi-Fi. I didn't know what else to do. I saved it. All of it. I opened the drive on my laptop. I didn't want to. I felt sick before I even saw the first clip. But I had to know. There were hundreds of video files. All from a drone camera. Dated. Stamped. Some were daytime. Most were night. Some showed our backyard. Our windows. Some were worse. I watched my daughter in her room. Changing. Reading in bed. Crying. Sometimes the camera got close. Too close. He must have flown it within inches of her window. There was footage of the bathroom window too. Of her getting out of the shower. There were other girls. From around the neighborhood. 2 doors down. The one across the street. One I didn't recognize, she looked like she could be 13. I wanted to break the screen in half. But I didn't. Because this wasn't over. Not by a long shot. I didn't sleep that night. I sat at the kitchen table with the hard drive plugged in, going through every file. I cataloged dates, times, locations. I wrote it all down. I wanted a full timeline. I needed to know exactly how long he'd been watching her, and others. Some of the footage went back months. Before we even moved in. He'd been doing this for a while. Around 4 a.m., I made a copy of the drive and hid it in the garage behind the breaker box. I didn't trust the police to handle it right. And I didn't trust Blake not to try something if he found out we had the footage. The next day, I called Detective Ramos, the officer who'd filed my original complaint. I told her I had evidence. Real evidence. She told me to come in immediately. I took the drive. Left Allie home with the doors locked and pepper spray on her nightstand. I didn't tell her where I was going. I didn't want her more afraid than she already was. Ramos took one look at the footage and changed her tone real fast. From polite to serious. They opened an investigation on the spot. Said they'd get a warrant for Blake's devices and the drone. But before they could act, something happened. That night, around 11:30 p.m., someone broke into our backyard. I heard the pool gate creak. When I looked through the blinds, I saw him. Blake. He was holding a baseball bat. I flipped the porch light on and stormed out before I even had a plan. "What the hell are you doing?" I shouted. He froze. Didn't even try to run. "You think you can screw up my life and just get away with it?" he said. "You've been spying on girls, you sick little." "I didn't do anything illegal," he snapped. "My dad said they can't touch me. I'm 17. Juvenile." That told me everything. His parents knew. They knew and they helped him. Then he smiled. That smug little smirk I wanted to slap off his face. "You think that's all I got?" he said. "You haven't even seen the messages." "What messages?" He turned and walked off. Didn't run. Just strolled back through the gate like he hadn't just threatened me. When I checked the mailbox the next morning, there was a flash drive in a plain envelope. No return address. I plugged it into a burner laptop. There were screenshots. Text threads. He'd been sharing the videos. Private groups. Encrypted chats. Dozens of usernames. Some people asked for specific girls. Some paid for clips. My daughter was on there. She had no idea. I started crying right there at the table. I had never felt so sick, so helpless, so angry all at once. I called Detective Ramos. Told her what I found. She told me not to confront him again. Told me they'd escalate to the cybercrimes unit. But I couldn't just wait. So I went to his school. I found the principal, Mrs. Adler, and told her everything. She said it was a police matter. That until there were formal charges, her hands were tied. That afternoon, Allie came home crying. Someone had passed around a fake screenshot, a picture of her edited to look worse than anything real. Someone printed it out and taped it on her locker. Blake was behind it. I knew he was. And then Allie told me something I didn't expect. I think he was inside the house, she said. I stared at her. What? A few days ago. I thought I misplaced my underwear. But now I'm not sure. And some of my drawers were open. Like someone was looking for something. She looked so scared, I could barely hold myself together. That night, I installed cameras. Inside and out. Motion sensors. Window alarms. I wasn't waiting anymore. I'd also made a new copy of the hard drive. This time, I sent it anonymously to 3 local news stations. And I made one more call. To Blake's grandmother. I found her number in an old post from Denise's Facebook page. Turns out she lived an hour away in Tucson. When I called and told her what Blake had been doing, she was horrified. He did what? She said. Are you serious? She sounded nothing like Mike or Denise. She sounded like someone who actually gave a damn. Can you come see for yourself? I asked. Because no one else seems to care. She agreed to visit the next day. That's when everything started unraveling. Blake's grandmother, Judith, showed up the next morning. Old pickup, silver hair tied back, no makeup. She looked like she didn't take crap from anybody, and I liked her instantly. I met her at the curb. She barely said hello before jumping into it. Tell me exactly what he did, she said. I brought her inside and showed her the drive. I didn't show her every clip. Just enough. She sat there in total silence, mouth pressed into a line. Her hands were shaking. When it ended, she looked at me and said, My daughter's raising a monster. Then she asked if she could speak to Allie. I checked with Allie first. She was nervous but said okay. Judith sat across from her at the kitchen table and took her hand. I'm sorry, she told her. You didn't deserve this. I don't care if he's blood, he doesn't get to do this to anyone. That was the first time I saw Allie relax a little. After she left, things started moving fast. Channel 8 ran a segment that night. The story was vague, no names, but they talked about a developing case involving a minor using surveillance tech to record neighbors. People started whispering. By morning, the Sampsons were in full damage control mode. Mike came to my door around noon. I didn't open it. I talked through the security intercom. You've got your point across, he said. Why don't you let the cops handle it now, huh? You mean the same cops you said couldn't touch you? That was a misunderstanding. You threatened my daughter. You helped him hide what he did. You're all going down. Then Denise tried. She rang the doorbell 5 minutes later. We're just asking for mercy, she said. He's a kid. This could ruin his life. I didn't even respond. Then, that evening, things got worse. Someone threw a brick through our front window. There was a note attached, taped to it. Sluts raise sluts. I called the police again. This time, they sent 2 cruisers. The officers took it seriously. They offered to keep a patrol car on our street overnight. But what really tipped everything over was what Judith did next. She came back. This time, with a lawyer. Turns out she had power of attorney over a family trust. Mike and Denise had been living off it for years. Blake's college fund? Judith controlled that too. She told them flat out, they were cut off. Then she did something even I didn't expect. She gave the lawyer permission to hand over everything she knew about Blake's behavior over the years. Things the family had covered up. Incidents from 2 other schools. One girl who dropped out after accusing him of taking pictures of her while she was changing in a locker room. Suddenly, the case had teeth. Then Allie got a message. Airdrop during her last class of the day. No name. Just a short video. It showed her sleeping. The footage was dark. Like it was filmed through a window, or worse, inside the room. She screamed when she saw it. I called the police again. This time, they took her phone and got their tech unit involved. That night, I moved her into my room. I put bars on her windows. I didn't sleep. At 3:47 a.m., I caught motion on the camera by the side gate. Someone trying to cut the lock. But this time, we were ready. Police were stationed around the block. He didn't even make it to the back door. They arrested Blake on the spot. He was carrying zip ties, gloves, and a burner phone. When they arrested Blake, he didn't cry. Didn't scream. Just stared at the ground like he didn't care. Like it was just another minor inconvenience. But the cop who cuffed him looked sick. Said something under his breath. Even the officers were shaken. They found more at the Sampsons' house. A hidden hard drive under Blake's bed with hundreds of files. Drone videos. Photos. Messages. Payment records. Proof he'd been selling videos of underage girls for months, maybe longer. Even worse, they found cameras. Real ones. Hidden in everyday objects. Stuff he'd planted in other homes, friends' houses, bathrooms. Mike and Denise were arrested the same day, for obstruction, evidence tampering, and something else, child endangerment. Turns out they knew way more than they claimed. Mike had even helped him cover up some of the files when police first started sniffing around. Judith cut all ties. She sent public statements. Told the truth. Said she'd fund therapy for every girl involved. I don't know if it made a difference to them, but to me, it mattered. She wasn't trying to save face. She was trying to do right. The school board came under fire too. Turns out they received anonymous tips about Blake's behavior earlier that year, and ignored them. Allie started therapy. She didn't speak much for the first few sessions. But slowly she opened up. I did too. Because here's the truth. I made mistakes. I saw signs and brushed them off. I thought drone meant toy. I thought quiet girl meant she was okay. I didn't ask enough questions. I didn't check in enough. That's on me. But I also made damn sure it didn't end with silence. The footage, the real footage, was turned over to the DA. 23 victims were identified. Some didn't even know they were being watched. The case blew up. By the time the trial came around, Blake was 18. They tried to argue juvenile status, but the DA wasn't having it. He got 5 years in adult prison. Not enough, if you asked me. But more than most expected. Mike and Denise each took plea deals. 3 years probation, no custody rights, and a permanent mark on their records. Their house was foreclosed within 6 months. Someone spray-painted the word monsters across their garage door before they left. I didn't do it, but I can't say I was sad to see it. As for me and Allie, we moved again. Not because we were running, but because she deserved a new start. One that wasn't poisoned by memory. We live near Flagstaff now. It's colder, but peaceful. She joined a support group. Started drawing again. The hard drive, the original one, is locked in a safe. Not because we need revenge anymore, but because she earned her safety the hard way. And if anyone ever tries to take it from her again, they'll regret it. I promise you that.